we'll introduce the players, but talk a little bit about Rhett's PVZ as of late. He really has been improving it. I know maps play a big factor in his success for that. So it's just going to be really interesting to see how he's going to face up versus Killer here. And, oh, here we go. Someone was like, oh, I'm not going to stay in here and watch this. I'm out of here. Here we go. In the southwest position as the red Protoss from Complexity, it is Killer. And up here in the northeast as the blue Zerg. Recently his PVZ's been pretty impressive. It is Team Liquid's Rhett.
Yep, Rhett looking really impressive recently. You talked about his ZVP, you know, has been kind of a matchup that's been good for him. He was able to beat Genius at DreamHack. That was a big match to watch. I remember, I mean, I was casting that one, and it seemed incredible for Rhett to beat someone like Genius, especially after being kind of in the dark for a while. And Rhett surprises people, man. He shows up to events and does incredibly well. That's why no matter how well he's been practicing or no matter how good his results have been recently, whenever Rhett shows up to an event, you have to take him seriously.
I agree. You know, one of the things about Rhett, the first time I ever saw him play StarCraft 2, I was like, what is going on here? This guy is maxing out faster than anyone. And for a long time, that actually gave him just some good success. But then it came down to like, okay, I've got this amazing macro, I've got this pretty good style, but it seems like I just need help with my situational you know, engagements or this particular matchup or making my macro work for me in this particular matchup. And that's what I feel like he's really worked on and has seen a lot of success as a result. So take those mechanics you've got, take that just astounding foundation you've got, and then figure out where your holes are and just fill those in and go. And he's been solid ever since. Yeah,
you're right. That's a really good way to put it. He's definitely filled in the holes. He used to be known as the guy who just makes too many drones. Yeah. We're going to see Killer go one gate expand with no gas. We saw this earlier actually today with another Protoss. Zaka did this against Idra, in fact, earlier on today, and it's a build that's becoming a little bit more popular. It allows you to get your core up a lot more quickly, and against someone like Rhett, who's always going to go for the hatch first, it's a great build. It's really effective. You get your faster core, which allows you to get faster aggression on your opponent. This does sometimes lead into big timing attacks as well, because of the way that your core timing works out. You have very fast aggressive opportunities.
And he's going to spot that. Of course, Rhett's going to just fly on there with the Overlord, one of the advantages of that increased Overlord speed. And he's going to get a good look at everything going on in here. Of course, you know, you're also in a position in a Zerg where you're like, oh my gosh, I could just run in here with so many lings and just eat him alive. But unfortunately, you know, you're focusing on your economy so much that that's how the Protoss are kind of taking advantage of the Zergs. And especially on a map like this, it's going to allow him to still get a wall up and get everything going the way that he wants to. There we see the Nexus finishing up, already getting some probes going on there, and already going to get that first stalker out. So it's going to allow Killer to not only go this route in terms of his build order, but then also possibly just put on a little bit of aggression. You know, it's never too much to do a significant amount of damage. In this case, I think because this wall is largely not there, he is going to keep these units back. But if that quick third goes up, and will we see a drone heading on over there quite soon, you know, that might be an avenue for attack for him.
You're right. Something else to note, of course, is that we do see Rhett pulling out of gas at literally 100, as is Rhett's style. He will see this probe coming in here. He's going to try to kill it, but the probe has seen the drone head over. Now he's going to go check for sure if the hatchery is there. Does see it. Great scout coming in there from Killer. So he basically is completely in the know right now. He's adding double gates. His forge is finishing up here. He's going to be spending a lot of chrono trying to get that warp gate research out. Killer did not actually start his warp gate research right away when his core finished, so it's not as fast as it could have been, but it's still going to be a lot faster than a forge fast expand. His +1 will be delayed. It's kind of the trade-off here that you get with this type of build.
And with these two lings are going to come in here and see that rotating, that spinning forge, know that the upgrade is indeed coming, and it gives him at least a little bit better idea as he's getting his third up as well. This is kind of where Rhett wants to be. He's at 37, 36 drones now, and he continues to power up. Getting that Roach Warren a little bit earlier than normal. No, actually, that's right around time, around 50 drones or so, and also throws down that Evo chamber as well, or excuse me, about 50 supply. And, now I think that, Rhett's kind of where he wants to be.
Yeah.
The thing is going to be, as it oftentimes is in the ZVP, is, the defending of that third.
The defending of the third is always the crucial point in this matchup. It just is. I mean, it's a relatively risky third. Processes are really aggressive oftentimes. I like the timings here for him with the Roach Warren and the +1. It feels like just a little bit ahead of what most Zergs are doing now, and in some ways, it's a commitment a lot of Zergs don't want to make, but it looks like Rhett really wants to commit to the Roaches, so he's just building towards that anyways, even if he doesn't get a big attack upon him. But we're going to see this probe actually get caught here. No pylon from Killer, so he no longer has that aggressive option anymore. And if he turns around here, he's definitely not going to have it. Now he's going to go and commit to this attack. The wall-off has been completed back at home with the 1 can there. He will be able to deny this. Brett trying to find a hole, but there is none. There are enough Roaches out here to buy time for more to pop out and hold this, and at this point, Killer has to turn around. He doesn't even know how many Roaches are coming necessarily, so he does not feel comfortable to continue the attack.
And he's definitely going to get that Stalker, but will he be able to stop these Zealots as well and possibly pick a few of those off? The Roaches are moving forward. He does get 1 or 2. Of course, those guys are on move command, so he gets some free hits in. And, a lot of Zealots. It felt like that could have done quite a bit of damage, but Rhett was very smart to go ahead and bring all of those Lings back, not even try to go after anything like the pylon, take unnecessary damage. And look at this. He's going to be able to pick away. Is he going to go for that? Well, he's going to kind of possibly buffer. No.
Yeah, he's considering it, but with that many cannons there, he does not want to commit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough situation because with those sentries there, if he gets pulled in, because Force Fields can actually pull you in slightly, that could have been a messy situation. So he decides to pull back. I think the better choice. Wanted to use what he did. You can see our observer, Adebisi, by the way, does a great job. Just want to give him a shout out, highlighting that how many drones there are for Rhett. Rhett actually he's now at 64 drones to 54. Even with all the Roaches that he made, he's got so many drones out. That's something that we talked about right from the start with this guy in this matchup. Third Nexus is going down for Killer very aggressively. He just kind of dropped it before he even really had a huge defensive force up. He's not even made a wall just yet, so that's something to consider.
It has not been scouted quite yet, all right.
You can see that Rhett's average time on Cloud Kingdom is 25 minutes and 2 seconds. That's an interesting stat.
That's actually quite high.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose
as an average, that's really high.
As an average, it is really high. Yeah, interesting.
So that means that basically he just plays longer games. Killer's average time is 14 minutes and 48 seconds.
That's not surprising. I bet you those
he does a lot of
bring that down quite a bit.
He does a lot of timing attacks. That's not for PvZ. That's just in general.
And that is, of course, statistics from the MLG Online qualifier. So, of course, it's not necessarily over the lifetime of a player or anything like that, which would make Rhett's 25 minutes on Cloud Kingdom even more insanity. So we do have a move out over here. And hopefully we'll get the game sounds fixed here momentarily. I know you're hearing the menu right now, so we'll get the game sounds going in just a moment. But we got a nice spread here from Killer. He has set up a nice defense here, but he's going to do a double or two-pronged attack. He has Roaches at the front of one of the base, while on the other side, the force fields go down, but he is pounding away on those Zealots. There is a single Immortal here, and I don't think he's going to be able to get those Roaches in a position to take out the Immortal, but I really like what Rhett's doing here with this two-pronged
attack is so strong. This is the type of attack that you have to be perfect to hold. But in fact, Killer was practically perfect. But you mentioned this before. You said Rhett is one of the players who maxes out for anyone else. He's already there. He's there at 12 minutes while forcing engagements and trading Roaches. He is going to send torrent of Roach after Roach after Roach. Look at the minimap. Look at that stream of units across.
And look, it's not even a two-pronged attack anymore, Wolf. It's going to be like a triple-pronged attack. He's going to send up the ramp and going right into the third. He can snipe the Nexus or choose to engage the army. He's going immediately after a few of those sentries. Meanwhile, in through the front of the base, they take out the cannon. He's going to sandwich all of this, and the only rig threat are these 3 Immortals here that he should be able to snipe out, no problem.
Yeah, he's targeting them down, and Killer, disappointingly so, not using any blink micro. Now it doesn't matter because he's sandwiched. I mean, where does he blink? He starts to blink away now. He heard me, but he's just lost too much. It's 172 supply to 81 now. and everything is falling. Rhett's harassment was just too much, and he had great production. Like, his production was just too strong, and he tore through.
And this is that style that Protoss are complaining about, you know. But quite frankly, I think that the opportunity was lost for Killer when he had 10 Zealots and that one Stalker and did 0 damage. And there it is, GG.
GG.
And Rhett, well, that will drop down his average time a little bit.
Yeah,
14 minutes on that game.
You're so right, though. When you mentioned the Zealot and the Stalker attack that did no damage, Zerg players have been getting so good at picking off the probe. You pick off the probe, the attack stops.
Right, and yes, that's such a great point. We can't forget about that because that was just a focus fire on that probe. You can't
get the
reinforce.
probe, no pylon.
Yeah,
that was a little bit disappointing because I feel if you're going to get that close before you make a pylon, you need to have made a second pylon first. Because if you don't make the second pylon in the middle of the map, then you have no power anymore.
You are right, but if you go back and you look at that game, there's actually a few moments where early on, Rhett had like 20 lings, but he had 4 up here, 4 here, 4 here. So he was doing a really, really good job of like surveying. You know, a lot of Protoss in those particular situations like to put that pylon up in the northwest, keep it away, like you said, that further pylon, and then they kind of move it forward. I think that the lings denied that initial one, and that's why he was definitely
at the very least too scared to do it. There's no other reason why he wouldn't have done it. So that's something that, I mean, I said it's disappointing, but it's just disappointing in the sense that if he had done that, he might have been able to do a lot of damage because Rhett was so vulnerable at that time. With the amount of Zealots that were out, his roach count was really low. And if he comes in and kills the third hatchery while Rhett was a little bit less droney than he normally would have been because he made those earlier units, it would have been an awkward position from Rhett to recover from.
Yeah, and of course, not having that additional hatchery would have never been able to get up there. It's such a quick supply. I mean, 14, actually, if it would have been more like 12. He was about max. That's Stefano style, if you will. And it just goes to show how important damage at that third is. You know, something has to happen there.
If you do nothing,
some damage.
It's out of control. If you do nothing, it's a snowball that's rolled down Mount Everest, man. That's what happens. And if you attack from 3 locations like we saw Rhett doing, how can the Protoss defend? Even with gateway walls, multiple cannons, and force fields, eventually something has to give with that many roaches.
Well, the next map is going to be Daybreak. It was a choice by Killer, but I'm not sure that it was such a good choice because lately Liquid Rhett has really been doing a phenomenal job on this particular map. He focuses on a style very similar to what